Hey guys, welcome back to my N1 coverage, the N1 Victory Tournament from Pro Wrestling Noah. We're talking about the show on August 20th. Night 6 of this amazing tournament kicked off with Kaito Kiyomiya taking on Kinya Okada. Now, poor Kinya hasn't won a match, but he has looked better and better in each and every match, and that trend continued. I'm still going to hold up the idea that since he lost to Takashi Zagura, and he lost to a number of people, but I think the match with Takashi Zagura brought out a sadistic side in this man. Not saying it's over the top and he's losing his mind or anything ridiculous like that. I mean, this isn't WWE, but I think something snapped in him just a little bit, and you could see it in this match. You could see him working a headlock on Kiyomiya for quite a while. Of course, he used his very well-known kicks, but when he got Kiyomiya down, he would try to pin him, of course. He did backslides and roll-ups, but here's what I'm talking about. He got Kiyomiya in a vicious headlock and cranked on that very much like Segura cranked on Okada when he had him in a headlock. I could just see shades of that, almost like Okada took something from that match and is trying to apply it to his own repertoire. But here you got the kicks again, and I'm telling you, for the first 3-4 minutes of this matchup, Kinya Okada dominated Kaito Kiyomiya. He couldn't pin him. He tried. He got some 2 counts, but he looked great. I don't think Kinya. I can't imagine that Kiyomiya came into this match, overlooking anybody, even Kinya Okada. But let me tell you, a big gut wrench suplex. I really liked how Okada looked here. He looked vicious. He looked strong. But as Stu Fulton pointed out on commentary, a lot of times he does blow his load awful fast. He comes in like crazy, can't quite get the pinfall, looks great, but then slows down. And that's kind of what happened here, and it started right here when Kiyomiya got his leaping forearm off the top rope. This really slowed Kinya Okada down because then Kiyomiya got his big missile drop kick from the top rope, a big forearm to the side of the face, but Okada did try to get that roll-up where he won over Inamura to come into this tournament weeks ago. He caught Kiyomiya coming in towards him, ran him into the ropes like while holding on to his waist, and rolled backwards with him into this victory roll-up and got a 2 9/10 count. The crowd literally gasped. The Japanese crowd was like, oh, they couldn't believe it. They thought that Kinya Okada had beaten Kaito Kiyomiya here. He did not, but after this, he got another suplex, a bridging suplex on him here, and got another 2 and maybe 8/10 count. Very close. But it was Kaito Kiyomiya with a roll-up of his own. Seemed like he just had enough of Kinya Okada hanging with him, rolled him up on his own, and got the 1, 2, 3 here. It was a very good matchup. Both of these guys came in close to the same time. So what is almost traditional is they're going to argue. They're going to not necessarily come to fisticuffs, but Kinya Okada was complaining to the ref that he wasn't pinned, that his shoulder was up. I'm pretty sure it was not. And Kiyomiya just comes in and interrupts his argument and lifts his arm up and stares down Okada, basically telling him, look, I won. Calm down. And that's exactly what happened. In a fairly short, only about a 10-minute match, Kaito Kiyomiya moves on, wins again. After losing his first 2, he has done nothing but win. Okada still has not won a matchup. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't win any, but he is getting better and better along the way. And I think, tell me what you think, guys. I really see a little bit more viciousness in him since that match with Segura, but it didn't do him well here. Made him look good the first couple of minutes, but he loses it. Kaito Kiyomiya gets the 2 points. Good opening match. The next matchup was Hideki Suzuki versus Anthony Green. Now, they kept throwing it back. They, meaning Stu and Mark on English commentary. They kept throwing it back that how these two worked together closely in the WWE Performance Center when both of them were there at the same time. That Hideki Suzuki, being more experienced, was pretty much the mentor of Anthony Green. So that did add to the story of this match. I appreciated that. And an interesting factoid, really, there. This told the story of Anthony Green trying to surpass Hideki Suzuki, with the odds being pretty low. Anthony Green's great. I can't say that enough. And he's doing better in the tournament than some mainstays in Noah, for sure. But that's what this was. This was Green trying to overcome a guy that clearly is pretty much better than him, and at one point was his teacher. And he did an excellent job. I mean, he worked Hideki Suzuki's style of match at the beginning of this, which was impressive. Anybody that can get in there and work a catch style with Hideki Suzuki, even for just a little while, is impressive. Because there are plenty of wrestlers out there that would probably piss themselves if they thought they had to do that. And Green did a great job here. This close-up shot, this is Hideki Suzuki digging his fingers into the eyes of Anthony Green to break an armbar he had on, a hold he had on him. I mean, that's how desperate Suzuki got at one point. That's how well Green was doing, and it was quite impressive to see. This move, I typically hate this move, guys. I'm on record numerous times saying the move where wrestler A, let's just use the names here, where Green is up against the rope, and Hideki Suzuki charges him, and at the last second, Green drops down and pulls the rope down, and Suzuki tumbles out. Hate that move. I hate it. It always looks like trash. This looked good. Now, the reason I think it looked good, and I rarely say that about this move because I hate this move, if I stress that enough, the reason this looked good is Suzuki was close to him when he came towards him, and Green pulled the rope at the exact right moment. Too often, when this move is done, the wrestler is running the whole way across the ring. The wrestler that drops down too early. The wrestler that is charging, not being able to stop before tumbling out, looks fake as hell. It just looks contrived. This looked like Suzuki only had about 3 feet to go with that, and he didn't run like a fool. He just sort of, quickly, it was a quick pace towards Green, and it actually looked like maybe Suzuki was taking Green down. That's how close this was, where Green pulled the rope down. Now, all that, for a move that's not that big a deal, but I typically hate them, and this looked decent for what it was. Here, Green tries to land a plancha over the top rope, but Suzuki, you can tell here, he's waiting on it, and he gives him a big European uppercut on his way down, takes control, gets this neck crank on him, and boy, did Green sell this like it was the most painful move in the world. I loved that. Really twisted his neck with his feet, but later Green does come back and gets a serious drop kick, lands the plancha outside over the top rope onto Suzuki, and hits his walking, talking, flying. Man, that's a mouthful for a move. And really looked good here. He went from wrestling Suzuki's style of match to actually getting to wrestle his own style of match, and it looked great. It looked like he had Suzuki on the ropes, and I think he did to a degree, until Suzuki caught him and gave him this big German suplex. I mean, a waist lock German suplex, where you can see it there, where he's throwing him over, not just around his chest, but around his waist, so the shoulders and neck, it really, really hit the mat hard. But Green again fires back with a big clothesline, probably the best clothesline I've seen from Green since he's been in Noah, but it wasn't to be. Suzuki locks in this stretch hold, this modified STF, if you will. He probably has a proper name for it, and I'm sorry for not knowing exactly what it is, but it's like a combination crossface STF, and few, if anybody, could resist this. Green did the best that he could, but he had to tap out here, giving the win to Hideki Suzuki in a pretty solid but short match. In some ways, this outcome was never in question, but not because it was any type of squash or one-way match, but because you just know that as good as Green is, and as great as it is to have him in Noah, and it is, you just pretty much knew the chances of him beating Hideki Suzuki, who's coming off a loss, was pretty slim. And he gave you some moments where you thought, well, maybe he can do this. But in the end, Hideki Suzuki comes back and wins it. Pretty much what I expected, but doesn't mean it was a bad match. Next match, Takashi Sugiura versus Jack Morris. Man, if you want a match of two guys just beating the hell out of each other, this match is for you. Jack Morris impressed here tremendously. Look, we already know Takashi Sugiura is a beast. We already know he is the killing machine. We already know that defeating this guy is one of the hardest things to do in the world of professional wrestling. But Jack Morris is still a relatively unknown commodity here in pro wrestling, Noah. But boy, did he prove himself here. This is Morris getting out of a head scissors by Sugiura, doing the handstand, doing the headstand, wiggling out and gaining control of Segura's head. Now, Jack Morris is a big guy. Big, strong, tough, athletic guy. But watching him compete against Takashi Sugiura, at first it reminded me of the movie The Revenant. If you haven't seen it, It's about a guy that gets mauled by a bear, manages to survive, and come back at the end, right? And that's how this match seemed to go. Takashi Sugiura would take the offense of Jack Morris, and it was a hell of a good offense. Drop kicks, flying forearms, sliding Ds, if you will. But Sugiura would almost be unaffected, and he would come back with these big boots to the face and then took his left arm and twisted it up behind his back, and this affected Morris the rest of the way. Sugiura really yanked that arm, twisted that arm, tried to make this guy tap out, who he never did. This guy proved in this match he is as tough as they come, this Jack Morris. Look at the determination and pain on the guy's face. This was the look on his face all match long. Not because Sugiura controlled every minute of it, but because just to face Sugiura and get through that intimidation and that fear, you have to have a grit like no other. And that's what more. Look at him here. Sugiura, again, with that left arm over the top rope, under it and back up, wrenching on it. Just trying to take this kid out, trying to make him give up, trying to remove one of his limbs as being the least bit effective. Now, here's where I think Jack Morris made a mistake a couple times. Numerous times he tried to get Takashi Sugiura in a suplex or in his Tiger Driver or in a Falcon Arrow, something that he was trying to hoist him up in a suplex, brainbuster type of position. And most of the way through this match, he couldn't do it. Now, this did tell a story, and we'll see what I'm talking about. But for the longest time, I kept thinking, why do you keep doing this? It's not successful. Here, Sugiura just pitches him off almost like a gourd buster, but Sugiura didn't go down with him. He just picked him up partway and threw him from the suplex position straight into the corner and then charged him with a gigantic boot. And look, there was some question as to whether Morris was done right there. I mean, taking that throw from Sugiura out of the suplex and then getting booted in the face, this guy was down and nearly out. But no, he fights back. That's the story of this match, is Jack Morris's unbelievable ability to withstand the punishment that a guy like Takashi Sugiura dishes out. Here, both guys are down, and this is an example of what I'm talking about. Both guys are just dishing out pain and punishment to one another all match long. The first half of the match, it felt like Sugiura's punishment was a little worse than Jack Morris's. But, again, the story was Jack Morris was surviving Sugiura's punishment to bring his own. Here you see a crazy, wicked clothesline from Morris, followed by a spine buster that drove Sugi into the ground. And here he goes again. Morris trying to get him in this Tiger Driver. Of course, he's thinking if he can hit this, he'll end this match, of course. But Sugiura's strength, upper body, lower body, I mean, my God, look at the guy's legs in this shot. It's just next to impossible to move him into positions like this, but Morris kept trying. When he couldn't do it here, he had a big enziguri, but Sugiura got him on the rope and delivered that avalanche brainbuster, took a whole lot out of Morris, and he got locked in the Boston Crab, and then once again, looked like it could be over. I mean, but he made it to the ropes, and Sugiura just delivered a big kick to the face and a running knee. How this didn't knock Morris out is amazing. And then countless forearm smashes. The referee eventually counted Sugiura off of this because they're in the ropes in the corner. But until the ref did, he's laying these in big time. Left, right, forearm smashes. But this is where Morris, I spoke about another match a week or so ago. I can't remember which match it was. But it's almost like these forearm smashes into a downed Morris's face and head woke him up. I'm not saying he was ever knocked out, but it almost, the pain drove him to an adrenaline rush. Something of the sort. You can see it in his eyes here. He just rose up from being smashed, kneed, hammered into the corner, wide-eyed, and telling Sugiura to bring it on. It's just like something really lit Morris on fire, even more than he already was from these forearm smashes, and he ends up super kicking Sugiura in the face, tossing him out of the ring, doing a tope suicida on Sugiura. But once again, what does he do then? He tries to get him in and tries to lift him up for that Tiger Driver. And again, that's his move, so of course I understand it, but it's been proven time and again throughout this match that he's not getting Sugiura up. No matter how much he beats Sugiura up successfully, and he did, Sugiura still wasn't beaten down enough to go into this move, and Sugiura fights back and starts delivering more forearms. But finally, like I said, part of the story of this match, finally, after numerous attempts, Morris gets Segura up. Now, it's not for his Tiger Driver, but here he delivers a big Falcon Arrow, driving Segura down. Doesn't get the pin. Segura kicks out of it, and it wasn't his finisher. He didn't kick out of his finisher, the Tiger Driver. He could not get him up in that, but Segura did kick out of a powerful Falcon Arrow, but that almost woke Segura up, if you will. That drove Segura to the end. That made Segura say, no, screw this. After he hit the Falcon Arrow and didn't get the pinfall, Morris was going to the top rope. Segura made his way to his feet before Morris could get situated and delivered a big Olympic, you know it as the angle slam, the Olympic slam off the top rope. And folks, that did it. That pinned Jack Morris after a ridiculously 16-minute long fight. Brutal fight. Jack Morris earned his spot here. I would say he earned his place in Noah in this match even more than he did when he beat Kaito Kamiya. The Kamiya was an upset win. Not saying Morris could never beat him again. Of course he could. But it was still an upset win, a shocking win. And Kamiya might have overlooked him a little bit because Kamiya went on to lose his second match as well. But here, going toe-to-toe with Takashi Segura the way he did, a blow for blow, being able to withstand the punishment Segura dished out until the very end, when Morris's frustration at not being able to pin him after the Falcon Driver led him to the top rope and getting Olympic slammed off of the top rope. Until that happened, this was toe-to-toe. This was two just amazing athletes beating the living hell out of each other until Segura did overcome in the end. And that's not a real big surprise. But look, Morris is legit as they come as well, even though he doesn't get the points here, but Takashi Segura does. Next up on this amazing show was Goji Ozaki taking on Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. This is an excellent matchup. Now, some of these matches, I'm not going to lie to you guys, some of these matches were kind of samey. You know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. When you get good fights, matches that look like legitimate battles between two athletic wrestlers, it's not a bad thing. But this card so far has been all the matches have been so similar. This was just a battle of two giant guys, two big heavyweights trying to outbattle one another. Now, Wagner Jr., of course, is going to throw some lucha stuff in there. Lucha seems like the lucha guys love to fight outside the ring, so we got a good bit of that. We got Goji Ozaki actually throwing Wagner Jr. over the barrier into the crowd, setting him on the hard metal plate where the gate opens and chopping him away on that. We also got him doing a monkey flip to Wagner Jr. into the steel guard post. So Goji Ozaki held his own out there, coming back in and delivering one of his lariats, not his main one, not the golden lariat, but delivering that sort of the chop-handed lariat to Wagner Jr. right away and delivering a big back body drop and going for the front face lock, chin lock, trying to wear him down. Wagner started to initiate a chop battle, which to me is insane. Wagner's chops are damn good, but I don't think anybody's chops in the business is up there with Goji Ozaki. So anytime Goji Ozaki gets a chance to battle anyone in a chop war, he is all the more happy to do it as he gets the machine gun chops here. But Wagner flies in with his flying forearm. Do you remember anybody old enough to remember when Jesse Ventura called it the flying burrito when Tito Santana did that? Good Lord. I'm not calling it that. I'm just saying, do you remember those days? I can't even imagine the backlash if that were the case today. Here's Wagner Jr. again with more lucha stuff, leaping through the ropes onto Ozaki, doing the big running cannonball onto him, and then the spot where he basically falls off the top rope. He stands on the top rope, Mock shoots himself in the head and falls like a dead fall onto Goji Ozaki. Maybe that's what it's called. Maybe that's why he shoots himself like that. Big back thrust kick on Ozaki, and they hit each other with double lariats at one point, and both were down for some time. So again, this was just another match. And really, guys, I don't want to sound like I'm insulting Noah. I love this. I enjoyed this. But as I sit here and review it, I have to be honest. I know many of you are going to be like, this guy's saying a lot of the same stuff about all of these matches. All of them were similar. If you don't like that, maybe this isn't going to be the show for you. Maybe you'll just want to watch this and hear me say who won and be done with it. I hope not, because Noah deserves all of it. But if you're paying for Wrestle Universe, watch it as much as you want or don't watch. Just keep paying for it. Keep supporting these guys. But they're both down here. Giozaki does nail the move, I don't even know what he calls it, where he's on the top rope and it looks like his opponent's going to do something to him, but instead he sort of deadlifts them up and spins down like a spinning brainbuster off the top rope, and then nails a massive lariat on Wagner Jr. And Wagner Jr. responds with trying that quick wheelbarrow roll-up that he pinned Fujita with and got pinned trying to use against Anthony Green. Here he gets it on Giozaki, but Giozaki actually kicks out of it. And Wagner delivers what they call the Wagner driver. I mean, this is pretty vicious pile driver style move. And I thought Giozaki may have been finished there, but instead he kicks out at 2, powers up, and delivers that golden lariat taught to him by Stan Hansen. And that's enough, folks. After this pretty big brawl match, about 16 minutes long, just beating each other. Look at Giozaki's chest. They just beat each other half to death. Giozaki powers through and nails that lariat. And once he nails that lariat, it's pretty much over for anybody he's facing. 2 points for him. He does go up and thank Wagner Jr. for the match, congratulates him on a good matchup, because it was a good, solid, hard-hitting affair once again that Goji Ozaki came out on top of. Styles clash, ladies and gentlemen. Masakatsu Funaki versus Satoshi Kojima. Now, what makes this fight interesting is both these guys started in the New Japan dojo as young boys. I mean, we're going way back. Both of these guys, I think, in their 50s, but still looking amazing here. And it started off what I believed was Funaki's style of match. And again, when you wrestle this man, when you wrestle Masakatsu Funaki, you have got to be careful. If you go balls to the walls, straight up pro wrestling, he will very likely catch you and tap you out in short order. So that's what this started out. It started off Funaki style. It started off with, some feelers. It started off with some basic chops and some knee lifts, and of course, Kojima's going to get his machine gun chops in. But generally, this was a lot of feeling each other out. This was a lot of going to the ground, trying to gain position, trying to get mount, trying to get side control, trying to get a limb, trying to work an arm, trying to work a leg. That's what both of these guys tried to do. And in between, when they stood up, Kojima would try to get his professional wrestling style in there, like with these machine gun chops, like with his lariats, like with his suplexes, and things such as this. But Funaki would always counter with these kicks, with these open hand palm strikes to the face, with these shin kicks to the sternum and the gut. Look at the indentation that kick is leaving in Kojima, definitely causing some pain and some trouble. But the match turned a little bit, and this was only a 10-minute match. This kind of shocked me. The match turned when Kojima started to get his wrestling in. Whenever, for some reason, Funaki seemed to let his guard down. It seemed to not use the reach that he typically has in an effective manner. I thought Funaki seemed a little off in this match. Kojima nails his DDT, nails his cozy cutter, nails his brainbuster. Now, yes, there you see, Funaki fighting back after all those wicked, crazy moves put on him by Kojima. The cutter, the DDT, the brainbuster. There's Funaki still standing and delivering his, I forget what he calls it, but it's like a pile driver. So Funaki did storm back after taking all that damage. Again, kicking Kojima. Kojima nailing a lariat, though, and that took a lot out of Funaki, even though he kicked out of that and got Kojima in an armbar. And Kojima seemed to be in a little bit of trouble here, but did work his way to the ropes and nail a back body drop on him, or a side body drop, as you see there, followed by the Western Lariat clothesline, giving Kojima the big win. Now, I summarized this match pretty quick, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. Again, while Funaki nailed his kicks, nailed his pile driver, his version of the pile driver, looked good, better than most, I thought he was off. I thought there was something. He allowed Kojima to come in here and control this match for the most part. He allowed Kojima to nail move after move in a way that I've never seen anybody do to Funaki. I think Funaki's last match where he lost really threw him off his game. I really feel it took him out of it. I really feel maybe it put him on a downward spiral to some degree. And I'm honestly worried about that national championship. Funaki came into this tournament, I'm not going to say my favorite to win it, but I thought he'd do better. He's only got 4 points. He's won 2 matches so far. I think he's lost 2, maybe 3. Not looking near as sharp, not looking near as intimidating. And what's strange to me about that is that during the regular Noah season, meaning they don't have seasons, but during the regular Noah wrestling events, this guy seems untouchable. This guy seems to not be able to draw an opponent. Why wouldn't people want that national title? Nobody seems interested, and I always assumed it's because beating Funaki is a chore and a half. But in this tournament so far, he's gone down numerous times, and losing to Kojima is definitely no insult, but I really feel like 10 minutes, and I don't like long matches. You know that I've been on record saying I'm fine with 10, 12-minute matches. But you'd have to let me know what you think. I didn't give this my best in my coverage of it here. We got through it pretty quick. It was a short match. But I don't know. I was sort of down watching because I felt like one of my favorites was off. And that's not just about him losing. It was about him not looking like himself at all. Am I crazy? Let me know what you think. Did you think Funaki looked like his normal self here? Kojima is great, but Kojima is Kojima, and he looked like Kojima here, which isn't an insult. But Funaki, in the very least, I feel should have given him a much better challenge. I don't know. Main event time, Kazuyuki Fujita versus Masato Tanaka. For those of you not in the know, this will be their third meeting. The first time they faced off, it came to a 30-minute draw. The second time they faced off was for the GHC Heavyweight Champion when Fujita held that title. And Fujita won. He pinned Masato Tanaka. Here we are in the third matchup. This started off typically like you might want to think. Just guys feeling each other out, trying to get control. Fujita trying to choke Tanaka out immediately. But if you notice here in this image, Tanaka's got his chin down. He's not letting him slip that arm underneath. And Fujita mounting. Fujita is a little bit more powerful. Definitely bulkier, definitely stronger than Tanaka. But Tanaka is bulletproof. I mean, this guy is one of the hardest wrestlers on the face of the planet to pin. Fujita is also very difficult to pin, but he gets by on brute strength and ground technique, and he tried to do it here, and you see he gets the mount here, but Tanaka, again, just back up on his feet and delivering shoulder blocks with the much larger and stronger guy, and at one point, he actually wins the shoulder blocks, knocking Fujita completely out of the ring. Now, Fujita's not injured or is out of it here. He's playing possum to some degree. He's just laying on the ground, making Tanaka come to him so he can begin to kick and boot him on the outside of the ring. You could tell that Fujita was somewhat frustrated here. He's climbing back in the ring, for example, here, and Tanaka runs up and gives him a sliding D to the leg. Sliding D is a sliding forearm. I don't know where the D comes from. Sliding destruction, maybe. It's just a guess. But let me tell you something. This Tanaka is one of the most ruthless guys in the industry. You get in the ring with him, you better be scared. Now, the same could basically be said about Fujita, but there is just something about how long Tanaka's been around, how many countries he's wrestled in, how many titles he's held. It's unbelievable. And here you see him. So he starts to work on the right leg. Both of Fujita's knees are wrapped here. And Tanaka decides to work on his right leg. And he continues just to do hold after hold, move after move, as you see here, the ankle pick, the ankle lock, trying to twist and turn that right knee any way he can to wear the beast down. But it doesn't really work. Fujita just bounces back from whatever Tanaka does to him, gets him in a single leg Boston Crab, and just rips around at his legs. He's like, hey, I can do this too, buddy. I can take your legs out as well. And you see here him getting him in like a seated figure four, almost a modified prison lock, and just arrogantly looking into Tanaka's eyes like, what are you going to do? You can't get out of this. What are you going to do? And Fujita turns it into a figure four, but intelligently, wisely, Tanaka uses this time while he's trapped in the figure four, obviously in pain, but pounds away with his right arm onto Fujita's legs and knees himself, trying to force him to give this hold up because he's going to keep getting pelted in the legs if he does not. And he doesn't get him to give it up, but he gets him worn down enough that he can twist and turn the move over, applying all the pressure onto Fujita. Smart move by Tanaka. Now, this is the first of several attempts. Fujita just thinking to himself, to hell with this. I'm going to beast bomb, power bomb this guy to hell and win this match. But he could not get him up. And Fujita is unbelievably strong, but that's how much Tanaka is fighting. He just can't get him up. Instead, Tanaka turns it into a twisting brain buster and then begins to work over the right knee of Fujita some more after that. Sits him on the top rope, hits an avalanche brain buster. But Fujita pretty much no-sells it, jumps up, and nails a twisting brain buster of his own. And both guys are down, both guys are out. This match was unbelievable. Two guys that seemed nearly unpinnable. Now, neither one of these guys are undefeated in this tournament, so you know they can be beat. But you have got to put the best and the most effort you have into beating either one of these two. And that's what both of these guys were doing. So by mid-match, they're completely out of it. At the 10-minute mark, they're both pretty much gassed and out. But that doesn't mean they stop. Here's Fujita trying to get that beast bomb again. He has Tanaka up a little bit, but as you can see, Tanaka's head has slipped out of between his legs, so it's not going to work. He's not going to nail it here either. Instead, Tanaka comes running in and tries his sliding D forearm, and he gets caught by Vegeta. He catches him around the throat and turns it into a choke slam. So a sliding D on the ground turns into a standing, slamming choke slam from Vegeta, followed by a low-waisted German suplex. And then it was the battle of the headbutts. These two just started headbutting each other as if they were in love with Shibata matches. But this wasn't just one headbutt to end all headbutts. This was both of these guys, ramming like you might see longhorn sheep do in the wilderness of Montana, ramming their heads into each other 3, 4, 5 times in a row until Tanaka decides to run back and do another sliding D into the knee, into that right knee of Fujita. And it does take Fujita down to his knee, allowing Tanaka to come running in, not with quite the sliding D. He runs in with the forearm shot here. Look at that. Look at Fujita. He's definitely feeling this. Tanaka then nails him from the back with a sliding D, goes around to the front and hits another running D, followed by a sliding D. Numerous times. There were 4 or 5 of these sliding Ds to the front, to the back, a running, not really sliding, but like charging forearm into the face. And after 4 or 5 of those in a row, you're looking at your winner. Yeah, that's right. Fujita gets taken down again for the second time in this N1 tournament, this time by Tanaka, one of the most incredibly tough men in this industry. Now, keep in mind, Tanaka's not undefeated in this tournament, but remember who he's beaten. He has beaten the GHC heavyweight champion Keno, and he has beaten the nearly unslayable Ironhead Fujita. I mean, he may not win this tournament, but he has won it in a way just by beating these two guys. He's going to be in line for a title shot. If beating Keno and Fujita isn't enough to get you a title shot, nothing is. Now, the winner of this will get the title shot, but I suspect Tanaka will get a shot against whoever wins the match between the winner of this tournament and Keno for the GHC Heavyweight Championship, because he's just clearly earned it. He's just clearly showed how incredible he still is after all this time. He goes over to Fujita when it's over. Fujita's not even upset. Fujita respects Tanaka so much that he's laughing. He's enjoying this. They shake hands, both with smiles on their faces, after beating the living piss out of each other for 20 freaking minutes. And they stand up and raise each other's arms. Imagine this, folks. Imagine if after this tournament they become a tag team. Now, I'm not predicting that. I'm fantasy booking. Imagine it. Now, we've seen Michael Elgin and Masakatsu. We have seen the current champions, Timothy Thatcher and Hideki Suzuki. We have seen El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. and Rene Dupree. We have seen some great tag teams for sure. But these two, Tanaka and Fujita, if they wanted the tag team titles, I believe they would win them. Now, that's no insult to Hideki Suzuki and Tim Thatcher, because I think they're great. The two catch-as-catch-can guys, come on. But Fujita can do catch-as-catch-can with anybody, and Tanaka can do any style and beat anyone the hell up and not be pinned, no matter badly he's I just can't imagine if these two become a tag team. Again, this just doesn't this scene doesn't mean that's going to happen, but it puts that in my head. And if we got that coming out of this tournament, holy crap, how blessed would we be in the tag team realm. But we're talking about the N1 tournament right now, not tag teams. We're talking about an amazing win by Tanaka over Fujita, and we're going to see where Tanaka can go from here and if Fujita can rebound. But wow, what a main event. What a great show. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason I'm not giving this show a 10 out of 10 is I just think yesterday, the day before, was a little better. I believe the show on the 19th was just a little bit better than this, not meaning this was bad. It's just that the one before this had that amazing draw between Keno and Hideki Suzuki, and just was great, great stuff. And this card, as great as it was just a smidgen not as great as the one before it. But hey, it's Noah against Noah, so who cares? Don't miss this. We'll be back with coverage of the 27th and 28th. I'll just real quick, bear with me, guys. I work a lot, more than normal. I always work a lot, but I work more than normal that week. It is going to be very difficult for me to get the reviews up of the 27th and 28th show before September 3rd. I really hope I can do it. I'm going to do all that I can to do it. Worst case scenario, if I run behind on them, I will bring you all 3 reviews, the 27th, the 28th, and the 3rd, sometime after the 3rd, before, got a fly buzzing around in here, before the next show after the 3rd. I don't even know when that is. I didn't look. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. If I can't get the show reviews of the 27th and 28th out before the show on September 3rd, I will wait until after September 3rd and then review all 3 of them before whenever the next show from Noah is after September 3rd. Make sense? But I'm going to try to get it out before September 3rd if I can. But I have to work extra time to make up for getting a 4-day weekend off over Labor Day. Actually, mine will probably be by like a 7-day off period, because that's how many hours I work. I can manage to get 7 days off. So I'll definitely have time to bring you all 3 if I have to do it that way, and it would probably be smart to do it that way. But I'll do what I can to get 2 of them out before the 3rd, and I'm being redundant. Thanks for joining me. Look for the previews of the 27th and 28th coming out. I plan to do them sometime today. Right now it's going on 4 o'clock in the morning here on Wednesday. So sometime here on Wednesday the 24th, I hope to have the preview sections out and uploaded. You can see my Norton security is running on my computer right now. You can see it popped up there on the screen. But I'll have the previews of the 27th and 28th sometime today. It might be later today, but they'll be out so you can watch them as well. I'm Adam Lavelle of WrestlingDoneRight.com, and I'll see you on the next show.